Welcome to Priority Value Investments, also known as PVI4U.org, presents Forward. I'm the founder and CEO of Priority Value Investments, and my name is Pressley Giles Jr. The program is about how people can go through certain things in life, and sometimes, you have a setback. Sometimes you may trip and fall, when you're trying to reach your goal. You make some mistakes, or something gets in the way and holds you back from achieving your goal in life. Just about getting up and starting over, getting up and moving forward. That's why we call the program Forward. We're a nonprofit organization. Our objective actually is to build affordable homes. That's what we are trying to raise funds for, to be able to do that, to be able to raise funds for people who can't afford homes. And we're talking about homes, actually building homes. And what our main objective was, what we wanted to do when we started out was build a veterans community, build beautiful homes. We wanted to do that in the city of Prairie View, Texas, is where we wanted to do that. And things just kind of like happened and the program just was never able to take off. We got our 501c3 on June 10th of 2020, right in the middle of the epidemic. When everything was shut down and there was no way to communicate with anybody. A lot of the people who said they were willing to work with us were trying to hold on to their money all of a sudden. The companies that we needed to talk to, were closed, and so we had the 501c3, but we couldn't get the help that we needed to get started. We also didn't qualify for anything like any of the government programs, such business programs, such as a PPP or I think it's a EIDL. It's called. We didn't qualify for any of those because we had only gotten our business started on that June 10th. And so everything had to be started before, I think it was February 29th. Anyway, we had a lot of obstacles. And at one point, I was so frustrated and everything, I just wanted to throw the whole idea out in the street and just forget about it. It was just frustrating. And so, but something happened. I realized, like Mike told you last week. Mike James, by the way, let me talk about him for a minute. He's my business partner, and he and I kind of developed this and founded this program together. And he told you last week about what inspired him to keep going with this project. And so he's away today. He's at South by Southwest, because he also do music. That's his thing also. So he's at a conference there in Austin, Texas. And so so last week he told you about how what inspired him to keep moving forward with the project. And because he had people that he felt responsible to. That he had a real estate business and didn't go well, and so forth and so on. And so this week, I'm going to tell you what inspired me to want to move forward. And I felt that today's episode is, really personal, and I really had to think a lot about whether if I wanted to do this or not. But I want you guys, the people that are listening, to know me. I want to be able to be honest with you. I want to be able to share myself with you, because I believe this is something that's important to me, to be able to be honest with you. I'm not good at being fake. I'm not good at that. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what inspired me to continue going with the project. I mean, the project itself, of course, we know, building homes for people, that's important to me, that because at one point in my life, I wasn't sure where I was going to live. I ran into those situations. At times, it's a scary feeling. But also there was another reason. I guess I'm just going to get right into this real quick. That's probably the best way to do it. I'm going to tell you a little personal story. It was Friday, January 10th, 1997. I guess about 2 in the afternoon. I was getting ready for work. I was living in Staten Island, New York. And I was getting ready for work. I had I was working at a really a 5-diamond hotel there in Manhattan, and so every day I had to jump on the Staten Island ferry in order to get into Manhattan and get to work. And so anyway, I was rushing around the house, and the phone rang. And it rang a few times. I didn't want to answer it because I was in a hurry. I was getting ready to go out, and I didn't want to be late, of course, and so I was rushing around, and the phone rang several times, and I didn't want to pick it up, and then it hung up, and then they called back again, and it rang a few more times. I said, maybe this is kind of important, maybe I better find out what's going on. So I picked up the phone, and it was my doctor, and he was telling me, well, you need to come in today. I need to talk to you today, if possible. And I told him, I said, well, I'm on my way to work right now. I can't come in. And he says, well, I need to see you as soon as possible. And so I'm like, well, what's the big deal? What's going on? And I say, why can't you just tell me over the phone? He says, no, this is something I have to tell you. I would rather tell you in person. And so I didn't really get scared. I was more frustrated that he just wouldn't tell me, And so I kept waiting on him to tell me what was going on, and he mumbled something, and I'm like, well, what are you talking about? What are you saying? He says it was negative before, but now it's positive. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And so I had forgotten way back then, we all, as part of the job, we had to take a medical exam so many times, a year. And so, and so I took the medical exam, and whenever I took the medical exam, they would always ask me, well, do you want to take an HIV test? And I said, and I've always took it. I never had a problem with it, And so, this time I took the test. And so now, he mumbles on the phone, says it was negative before, but now it's positive. And he says, you've tested positive for HIV. And so I got kind of quiet for a minute. And then I said, well, what do I need to do? He says, well, come into the office so I can talk to you more about it, because it may have been a false positive, And so I told him I would come in the next day. Now, as soon as I got off the phone with him, I instinctively just called my mother. I called my mother. I didn't tell her what was going on. I didn't explain anything because I didn't want to make her nervous or anything like that. I just needed to hear that voice. I knew that once I heard that voice, that I could handle whatever came my way. I knew I could handle it. And so I called her. It was just like a little 2-minute thing. How you doing? You doing fine? I'm doing fine. I told her, well, I was just calling to check on you. And she said, oh, I'm doing fine, blah, 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 and everything. And I let her know, hey, I'm on my way to work, and I'll talk to you a little later. Basically, just needed to hear that voice. So I headed out that day, for work. I decided to go on and go to work, of course, because it was too late to call in sick. And so soon as I walked out the door, the sun was brighter than bright. The sky was bluer than blue. The grass reminded me of why green was my favorite color. It was just like everything was just just beautiful, you know, and I'm not sure what was going on in my head. You know, I'm not sure what I was thinking, but everything was really just, I guess it was more like I was realizing that I was just glad to be alive. And I never really took the time, and maybe that little thing that happened, that little message from my doctor got me to thinking of how fortunate I was just to be alive and to recognize all these things. You know, I got down to the ferry, got on the ferry. When I got on the Staten Island ferry, you know, I smiled at people. I looked people in the eye. And when you're in New York, that's not always a good thing to do because you could get in trouble doing something like that. But that day, I just felt like I had something to share. I felt something in my heart. I felt alive. And most of the time, I guess I just didn't really think about the fact that a simple fact of that I was alive. And so I was on the ferry and I was smiling at people and everything like that and holding little conversations. You know, at one point I got up and I walked out and looked out on the water, and the water was beautiful. The old Hudson River, dirty and disgusting as it can be sometimes, was so beautiful with the sunlight glistening off of it, you know? And so I got into work, and I didn't tell anybody what was going on or anything like that. Like I said before, I worked at a very upscale hotel there in Manhattan, 5 Diamond Hotel, and I was a doorman there. And you know, I went above and beyond for every customer and everything. Smiles were big and broad and everything like that, you know. And at the end of the day, I made really good tips that day. For one thing, I made really good tips. But when I finally walked out there that night, you know, after I'd done my 8 or 9 hours, I just looked out at the beautiful skyline of New York, of Manhattan, and, you know, all the sparkling lights. And they were like, I guess it was kind of like they were winking at me, and they were telling me, you know, you can do this. You know, you can handle this. And I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to think of where my mind was. I don't know, but I was just recognizing life and everything, and those things around life that you walk around and you see them every day, and you don't recognize the beauty of those things that are around you. So I got back on the ferry, and I looked at the Statue of Liberty, and she was standing there strong and, you know, and mighty, and, you know, and everything. And I was like, geez, you know, I can handle this. I know I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm not, you know, because at the time I had lost, you know, many friends to AIDS. I had lost a lot of friends to AIDS, close friends. And, you know, and it is as careful as you try and be, sometimes, you know, life happens. And so I got on the ferry and made it back home. And the next day I got up and I went to see the doctor. And, you know, he set me up with all kind of specialists, you know, to try to find out, you know, how I should handle it, what kind of medications I should be on, if any. You know, he set me up with a psychologist. Now, the psychologist, this is kind of interesting. The psychologist set me up with and told me to go to this group meeting. There was a group meeting for people with HIV and AIDS. And I went. I told him I would go, and I went. And I walked into it. There was this big old building, and it had, I know it had to be close to 100 people in there. And I kind of set away from everybody else, you know, to myself, you know, where I could have a little peace and quiet and just kind of absorb things. And there was a couple that sat in front of me, and and one of them started crying before the meeting even started. One of them started crying, and I couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but he mentioned something about death and dying, and that was enough for me. I was out of there. I was gone, because I didn't even want that anywhere in my mind. I didn't want it. I didn't want to the thought of that word, that thinking in that direction in my mind. So I left, and I went back to the therapist, the psychologist, and I told him I didn't want to go there anymore. And he suggested I did, and he kept sending me back, and I just wasn't going. It just wasn't going to work. And when he continued doing that, I let him go because he wasn't listening to me, and I can't deal with somebody who's just absolutely refused to listen, especially when I'm telling him from my heart and my soul, this is not for me. And so, so one night, I had found this, I don't know where it came from, but I found this magazine, and it had this article in there about this place in Atlanta, Georgia, the Grady Institute. If I remember correctly, I think I got that name right. The Grady Institute, and they were doing wonderful things for people with HIV and AIDS, And I read this article on the ferry one night after work. I woke up. I got home. I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I listened and I read that article again. And then the next morning, I woke up, and put some things in a duffel bag, and got on a bus to Atlanta, Georgia. And I left behind everything. I left behind my job. I left behind my home. I left behind things that were in my home. I was trying to save my life here, because I had listened to what they had said there in New York, and they were bouncing me from this doctor to that doctor and wanted to do this test on me and do that test on me and everything like that. And I just, I needed something more specific. And so, I was hoping for some clear answers, I guess you'd say. So anyway, I got on the bus. I went took the bus to Atlanta, Georgia, all the way from New York, and I went and I found the Grady Institute. Now, when I got there, they were closed because it was a holiday. And so I don't remember what holiday it was, but it was a holiday. They were closed. And the security officer was there. She was really nice. And she goes, well, they'll be open tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. And then you can be able to speak with somebody. And I'm sure they'll be able to help you. So I did exactly that. I went back the next day. They did intake, all that kind of good stuff like that on me. And, I explained to them, what was going on. And it was wonderful. And in about 3 months, I was non-detectable. They couldn't find the virus in my body after 3 months, after the medications that they had given me there at the Grady Institute. Now, one of the medicines that they had given me, I don't remember the name of the medicine, but I remember it was an orange liquid medicine. And it was so nasty. It was so disgusting. I had to take it every morning. I had found a job, and I've always been good at finding jobs. And so anyway, I had found a job, and I would take that medicine in the morning before work, maybe about 7:30, and then from 7:30 all the way up until maybe 12 noon, maybe a little bit after. I know it was after lunch because at lunchtime it would still make me nauseous. It was so nasty and so disgusting. But doggone it, I didn't give a darn. If it was going to keep me alive, I was going to take it. If that's what it took to keep me alive, I was going to take that nasty medicine. And I took it every morning. Now I want to let you know something. I don't want you to think that I did all this stuff alone. I didn't, because number one, my boss there in New York, he was nice enough. His name was Mr. Kojima. Mr. Kojima was so nice to me, even though I had walked away from that job so abruptly. He gave me wonderful references. He offered to help me in any way he could. He talked to other hotels there in Atlanta to help me make sure that I had a job, make sure I was okay. The Grady Institute, of course, which was there, and it was so extremely supportive, and helping me, knowing directly what to do, how to handle my situation and get me to be at a stage of being non detectable. They did wonderful things. You have to think about they had to think about the AIDS Foundation, which I couldn't have, without all those organizations, the Ryan White Foundation, which took care of a lot of my medications, the cost of that, it was just unbelievable. And see, that's one of the things that the reason I wanted to share this with you today is because I'm thankful. I am so frigging thankful that those organizations were there. I'm thankful to those people who fought. Those people that fought for rights for the people with HIV and AIDS, and fought for the medications, fought for us to be able to keep our jobs, fought for us to be able to keep our homes. All that stuff, everything was in jeopardy for us. And the gay community, they stood up and they fought. They said, "You're not just going to run over me and forget me and let my people die, let my family die, let my partners die. I'm not going to let you let me die." And those people did an extraordinary thing. And I still believe from the bottom of my heart, they don't get the credit that they deserve, because a whole lot of people are living today. I'm one of them. A whole lot of people are living today that would not be here if it were not for them. I know that for a fact. And it just bothers me so much, to know a lot of what they went through. There were people walking around during that time in life saying, this is what the gay community deserved. This is what, this is what God wants for them. That's what they were saying. They were walking around with signs talking about God hates fags. How do you overcome something like that? How do you move forward toward after something like that? But they did it. They did it, and they're still doing it today. There's still the AIDS Foundation, Ryan White, Foundation. All those organizations are still, helping people today, and also today people are still dying of AIDS. Yes, they are. But here's the thing, because I've had friends recently who've passed away, and they don't say that they're dying of AIDS or that they died of AIDS. They're saying that oh, well, he had a heart attack. Okay, yeah, well, his heart stopped beating, but that wasn't really the, And I had a good friend of mine just passed away maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And he had AIDS, but at the same time, when he passed, you talk to his family, people still say, well, he had a heart attack or he had something else, or, they don't say specifically what it was that led to his death, his or her death. And so it's still out there. And so what I want to do is, one of the things that I did too is I had the opportunity last year, in 2020. In 2020, I had an opportunity to work with, let's see, let me make sure I get the name right here. I don't have, but they asked me to write. I'll have it with you a little bit later. I get the right here in Houston, the Harris County Project Leap. That's what it was. I had an opportunity to work with Project Leap, when basically what they do is they help people, educate people on HIV and AIDS, and so I had an opportunity to work with them, and I wrote 2 PSAs. I'm a writer also. I wrote 2 PSAs for them, and I'm going to share those with you a little bit later. And go to those, and we're going to come back, and and then we're going to finish up here. So we can go to those. We can go to those videos now.
Before I say anything, I need you to know he's still my son. When he was 6 months old, I got him his first football, and now he's 14, and he has absolutely, positively no interest in football, and that breaks my heart. But he's a good kid. I mean, he's smart, he's creative, but something's not right. Beyond the clothes that he wears and the music he listens to, he's got this one friend who comes over all the time, and never once have I heard them talk about a female. Y'all, listen to me, man, something's not right, and I don't know how to talk to my own son. If it was my daddy, but this is a different time. How do I support my son in a lifestyle I don't agree with? And that HIV AIDS thing is still out there. How do I educate my son? How do I educate myself?
Marisol, siento tanto miedo por ti. Yo quisiera ayudarte, pero sinceramente no sé cómo. Pero tienes que hacer algo. Hay algo que está mal. Marisol? ¿Hola? Marisol? One night, myself and my best friend Marisol went out to the clubs. I mean, we always have a good time, but one night she met this guy that she really liked, and they ended up having unprotected sex. A few weeks later, she started to feel really sick, and I mean, we thought it was just a cold or the flu, but things have only gotten so much worse. I mean, she's so weak now, she can barely get up out of bed. I pray she doesn't have HIV, and I know she needs to see a doctor, but with all this, her biggest problem is she doesn't have U.S. citizenship. I mean, where can she go to get the medical help that she needs? ¿Qué debe de hacer ella?
The Greater Houston area has many resources for people who think they may be living with HIV. For a directory of agencies that provide HIV testing and medication for those who test positive or medication that prevents HIV, call 832-927-7926 or see the Blue Book at www.rwpchouston.org. Agencies listed in the Blue Book provide low or no cost assistance to people regardless of immigration status, sexual identity, income, or age.
Okay. So now we talked about those projects. It was an honor to do those. We have the actors' names down there that did those that did the monologues for us. I wrote the monologues, but they were actors. I want to make sure we give them credit. And there were also other people inside Project Leap. Inside Project Leap, we work as a group. And so they also, help produce this project. But I think it's a very valuable project, and I think the message is extremely strong. And it was an honor to be able to share my writing with them. And I'm grateful that they allowed me to do so. And so, but that's what I wanted to share with you, the fact that I am a black gay male with HIV, and I'm very proud of that fact, And so when I say that, I say it because I feel no, guilt. I feel no embarrassment. I don't feel like I have to apologize to anyone. I carry no shame. I feel no regrets, and I don't feel like I need forgiveness from anyone. The only person that I'm grateful to and I owe anything to is God. And I'm very grateful. And God loves me as much as he loves you. And so anything else is, it's good. But back to priority value, that's what inspired me. That's what inspired me to keep moving forward. To me, that was important. I want to be able to build homes for people in need, including people who are HIV positive and have AIDS, and veterans. I want an opportunity to give back. It's important for me. I owe so many friggin' people for keeping me here alive. The fact that I'm sitting here with you right now and I'm able to share this message with you, means a heck of a lot to me. It does. It means more than you'll ever know, because it didn't have to be. But because so many sacrificed, I'm able to be here. And so there are going to be times throughout the program when we're going to share our opportunity to speak with you with different situations, and whether it be with veterans, whether it be with people with other medical conditions, people with cancer, people who are struggling and trying to move forward. Sometimes it's not going to always be some kind of deep philosophical conversation, and sometimes we get a little silly. We're going to have a little art, to be able to come in, talk about some of the artists that are doing stuff that maybe use art as a way of moving forward. There are things that we're looking for guests to be on the show. If you'd like to share whatever got you to whatever, help you move forward. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to share some other stories from other people, from some of you guys, hopefully in the future, about moving forward, how you moved forward, what got you through, But the story that I shared with you today, that got me through. It gets me through, not just through that thing. It inspired me to keep going, but in just general, that's what keeps me going. The fact that so many people sacrificed for me to be here, and I'm not going to waste that opportunity that I've been given. And so that opportunity of life, that I've been given by these people, my health that have been given to me by so many people. And so I'm very grateful. We're just about ready to wrap up. And I think we're going to wrap up a little bit early today because, you can go to our website. If you want to go to our website is up. It's PVI, the number 4, and then U, the letter U, at .org. And you can go there and you can take a look at our websites. We talk about a little bit about the website. It explains a little bit more in detail about what priority value is about, what our goals are about. And so I'm hoping that you'll come and you'll take a look at us and you'll see what we have to offer. And we're always looking for donations. We're looking for if you, I think I have a list here the positions and things that we were looking for. Let's see if I have that here somewhere. But yeah, we're looking for grant writers. We're looking for board members. We still need board members that are able to contribute and so forth. We're looking for grant writers. I think I said that already. But yeah, but there are a lot of positions that we have available. You can go to Pressley. That's my name, Pressley, at PVI, the number 4, U.org, and you can reach me there. Okay? All right. Well, I think we're just about ready to wrap this episode up, wrap this puppy up, and be out of here. But I thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'm honored to be able to share that with you, to be able to sit here today and share that with you. And I hope that somewhere down the line it helps someone else, that someone gets something out of that. If you have questions, again, you can contact me about that. If you want to talk about that, again, at Pressley, at Pressley, at PVI4U.org. Okay? And I'll be more than happy to discuss things with you and talk about it and offer any guidance or whatever that I can offer. So anyway, we'll be back next week. I think next week we're going to try to find something a little bit more up. This was a hard episode for me to do, but I'm hopeful that it helps someone. But maybe next week we can find something a little bit more up that we can share with you guys. So that's going to be the end of it. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and thank you so much for this opportunity. We'll see you next week. Thank you.